In this really short video, I just want to talk about roots real briefly, just sort of as an introduction to it. Now, it's going to assume that you are somewhat familiar with exponents. If you are, then great. Keep going. If you're not, then either look on YouTube to try to find a video that talks about exponents. I put one out here recently. You can search for this guy, and it's relatively short, and it just sort of touches on exponents. Either one, just so that you get a little bit of familiarity with exponents. All right, let's forge onward here. So we talk about roots. I want to look at them from the perspective of how they're related to other things. Let's look at this first. So here I've started with a 3, and then I added 3, and I added 3, and I ended up with 9. What I want to do now is I want to go the other way, right? So I want to start with 9 and get back to the 3. Well, there's several ways to do that, but one of the ways is to just do the opposite operation of what I did here, right? So here I added 3 each time. If instead of that I do the opposite, I subtract 3, I get back to where I started. So the point of this is just that addition and subtraction are opposite operations, right? They sort of undo each other. Similarly, multiplication, right? If I take 3 and I multiply it by 3 and get 9, if I started with 9 and want to get back to the 3, one of the ways I could do that was just do the opposite operation, right? Multiplication and division, they're opposites, right? They sort of undo each other. So there's a relationship between those two. Lastly, and here we go, these are the use of exponents, and this is so in this case, right, remember the 2 says I'm going to have 2 3s and I'm going to multiply them. Exponents always indicate multiplication. So just like with the other two, with addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division, exponents have a sort of an opposite, and it's roots. So I would read this as the square root of 9, and the root part of this, as you can see, is this little section here, right? So what this is saying is that, okay, what number multiplied by itself is going to give me 9, and the answer is going to be 3. So all I'm trying to establish here is that there's a relationship between exponents and roots that I think students don't always appreciate or understand. So they're just like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Exponents and roots, they sort of work opposite to each other. All right, so let's just look at a couple here. So this one, again, if you're familiar with exponents, you can read this as 3 squared, or you can say 3 to the second power. On the other side is the square root of 9 is the way you would read this guy. Yeah. This is 4 squared, or 4 to the second power is 16. The opposite, the corresponding root is the square root of 16 is 4. So again, you can just see the relationship between those two operations. 5 squared is 25, right? 5 times 5. The square root of 25 is 5. Now here it's important to look and see, you don't have to write the 2. And as a matter of fact, most of the time we don't write the 2. So if there's nothing in this part, there's no number here, the default is always 2. So like I said, you seldom ever see the 2 written. It's just a convention that everybody understands. If there's no number there, there's a 2 there. I want just real briefly to the exponents to the third power, right? Remember to the second power and the third power, they're the only ones that have their own names. The second power is squared and the third power is cubed. So you would read this as 3 cubed, or you could say 3 to the third power. So this is 3 3s, right? Multiplied. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Undoing that, or the opposite operation, and here's the 3, right? So that tells me I'm multiplying a number, 3 numbers. If what 3 numbers multiplied together give me 27, and the answer is 3. So this is the relationship between these two. You're probably less familiar with the cube, or to the third power, so this is worth taking a look at. A couple more examples. 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4. Undoing that, or its opposite operation, and here we go again with the cubed, right? Or sorry, the cube root. 5 cubed, 5 times 5 times 5, and 125. Going the other way, The cube root of 125 means what number, that number times that number times that number gives me 25, and the answer there is 5. So again, these are the most common ones. You really need to be familiar with these. When you get to the fourth root and the fifth root and those, it's not so important, but these guys you're going to use on a regular basis. All right, so take a shot at some of these. So see how you do. Pause the video and run through these and see how many of them you can do. Once you're finished with all of them, then resume the video and I'll show you all the answers, and then you can see how you did. So pause the video now, take a run at them. If you're not sure how to do them or you're having trouble, go back and maybe run through the video real quickly again, and hopefully that'll shed some light on what we're doing. So pause it now and take a look at them. All right, so these are the answers. Compare yours with what I think the answers are supposed to be. Like I say, we'll do a lot of these in class, but again, if you had trouble with any of them, then maybe take another look at that video if you need to. Otherwise, nice going, and we are done.